Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like history is just random? Like life is just a series of chaotic events? Wars, revolutions, discoveries, crashes, breakthroughs. Just a jumble of events with no rhyme or reason? I'm here to tell you something that will change the way you see the world forever. History isn't just a collection of random events strung together by time. Beneath the surface of every war, revolution, economic crash, and technological breakthrough, there is a rhythm, a hidden pattern that has shaped the course of civilization for centuries. Great empires don't rise by accident, and they don't fall overnight. Economic booms are not sudden miracles, and crises don't appear out of thin air. There is a sequence, a cause and effect relationship that repeats itself throughout history, much like the turning of the seasons. If you look closely, you'll see a cycle that has played out again and again. Societies begin with struggle. They fight, they innovate, they overcome adversity. That struggle builds strength, discipline, and resilience. Over time, that resilience leads to prosperity, innovation, and expansion. But then, as life gets easier, people become comfortable. Complacency sets in. The hunger that once drove growth begins to fade, and when that happens, decline becomes inevitable. Cracks form, weakness replaces strength. Eventually, the system collapses, forcing a new cycle of struggle and reinvention. This pattern has repeated itself from the Roman Empire to the rise and fall of financial markets. It can be seen in political movements, cultural shifts, and even in the lives of individuals. The rise of every great leader follows this same rhythm, facing hardship, adapting, learning, and then transforming the world around them. The reason most people miss this pattern is because they only focus on isolated moments. They see the breakthrough but not the years of struggle that came before it. They see the collapse but fail to recognize the complacency that led to it. But those who understand this rhythm don't fear history, they master it. They use it to anticipate, adapt, and position themselves for the next great shift. Every major challenge in history has been followed by a wave of innovation, reinvention, and growth. Hard times are not the end of progress, they are the fuel that drives it. When people are pushed to their limits, when societies are forced to adapt or collapse, that's when the greatest breakthroughs emerge. It's in these moments of crisis that leaders rise, new industries are born, and the world transforms in ways no one could have predicted. The Renaissance didn't come after a time of peace and prosperity. It followed the Black Death, one of the most devastating plagues in human history. The Great Depression didn't leave the world in ruins forever. It set the stage for an economic and industrial boom that reshaped the modern era. Time and time again, history has proven that when everything seems to be falling apart, that's when the seeds of something greater are being planted. The reason crisis leads to growth is simple. Pressure forces change. When things are easy, people don't innovate. When comfort is abundant, there's no urgency to improve. But when survival is at stake, when the old ways no longer work, that's when people push beyond their limits. That's when new ideas, new strategies, and new mindsets emerge. The cycle of destruction and rebirth is not just a historical phenomenon, it's a law of progress. The harshest winters lead to the most vibrant springs. The biggest failures lead to the most powerful comebacks. It's the struggle that builds resilience, and it's resilience that fuels the next level of success. The people in societies that understand this truth don't just endure hard times, they use them. They take adversity and turn it into their greatest advantage. Throughout history, the individuals and civilizations that have thrived were not the ones who resisted change, but the ones who embraced it. The most powerful leaders, the most successful innovators, and the most resilient societies understood one fundamental truth. Nothing stays the same. The world is in a constant state of motion, and those who fail to adapt are left behind. The ability to pivot, evolve, and transform in the face of uncertainty is what separates those who make history from those who are forgotten by it. Empires that refused to adapt crumbled under the weight of their own rigidity. Businesses that ignored changing markets collapsed while new ones rose in their place. The greatest breakthroughs in technology, medicine, and industry came not from comfort but from necessity, from individuals and teams who refused to let obstacles define their limits. The moment the world shifts, there are only two choices: fight against it and fade away, or move with it and come out stronger. The most successful people throughout time did not wait for perfect conditions. They didn't cling to the past, hoping things would return to how they once were. They recognized that every major shift was an opportunity, not a threat. They were relentless learners, quick decision makers, and fearless risk takers. They anticipated change before it arrived, and when it did, they didn't resist it, they leveraged it. So the greatest transformations come when people stop seeing uncertainty as something to fear and start seeing it as a catalyst for reinvention. It's not the strongest or the smartest who win. It's the ones who can see what's coming and move before everyone else. Those who understand this principle don't just survive change, they use it to build something even greater than before. Setbacks are not the end of the road. They are the beginning of something greater. Every great leader, every innovator, every game changer in history has faced moments of crushing failure, moments where everything seemed lost. But those moments were never the conclusion of their story. They were the turning points. They were the chapters where resilience was built, where new paths were forged, and where the foundation for future success was laid. Failure is never final unless you allow it to be. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is not the absence of setbacks, but the response to them. Some people let failure define them, seeing it as proof that they are not capable, not worthy, not enough. But the most powerful figures in history saw failure differently. They understood that every setback carried a lesson, every disappointment revealed a weakness to strengthen, and every moment of struggle was an opportunity to rebuild stronger than before. History is filled with examples of people who turned their lowest moments into their greatest triumphs. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison before emerging to unite a nation. Walt Disney was told he lacked creativity before creating an empire. These individuals didn't see failure as a stop sign, they saw it as a stepping stone. They knew that setbacks were simply setups for something greater. The key is to shift perspective, to stop seeing obstacles as barriers and start seeing them as teachers. The pain of failure can either break you or build you, and the decision is yours. Those who master this mindset don't just recover from setbacks, they use them as fuel to propel themselves towards something even greater than they originally imagined. History is not predetermined. It is not something that simply happens to people. It is shaped, molded, and directed by those who have the courage to take control of their destiny. Every great civilization, every revolutionary movement, every major leap forward in human progress has been driven by individuals who refuse to be passive spectators. They saw the world not as something fixed and unchangeable, but as something that could be influenced, something that could be transformed by bold action and decisive voices. The most powerful people in history understood that circumstances do not dictate outcomes, decisions do. They knew that no matter how chaotic, unpredictable, or overwhelming the world seemed, they had the power to respond, to adapt, and to shape their own path forward. When others hesitated, they took action. When others waited for permission, they created opportunities. When others were paralyzed by fear, they moved forward with unwavering conviction. The truth is, every person has the ability to rewrite their story at any moment. It is not about waiting for the perfect conditions, the right timing, or someone else to open a door. The greatest leaders, innovators, and change makers took control long before they had all the answers. They decided that they would not let their past define them, that they would not let setbacks determine their future, and that they would not wait for the world to change, they would change it themselves. This is the difference between those who create history and those who are shaped by it. The power to lead, to innovate, to rise above circumstances is not reserved for a select few. It is available to anyone who chooses to take responsibility, to step forward, and to actively shape the course of their own life. The most important moment in history is always the present. The past has already been written, and the future is shaped by the actions taken right now. Every great movement, every revolution, every breakthrough was not created by people who hesitated, who waited for the perfect moment, or who doubted their ability to make an impact. It was created by those who understood that history is made in the moments when decisions are acted upon with absolute certainty. The people who have changed the world did not sit on the sidelines hoping for something to happen. They stepped forward. They took risks. They committed to a vision before it was fully formed. And they moved with urgency, even when the outcome was uncertain. The greatest opportunities are always hidden within moments of disruption, within times of uncertainty, within the space where most people hesitate. Those who recognize this truth don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They create their own conditions through action. Every person reaches a point where they must decide whether they will watch history unfold or whether they will be part of shaping it. The difference between those who achieve greatness and those who remain stuck is not talent, intelligence, or luck. It is the willingness to act when others hesitate. It is the ability to trust in the process, to take bold steps forward, and to move toward the future with conviction rather than doubt. The greatest moments in history have been shaped by those who refused to wait. They did not seek permission, nor did they ask if they were ready. They simply decided that the time was now, and they moved. The future is not something to be predicted. It is something to be created by those who are willing to step up and take control of their own destiny.